Welcome to Down South Football Podcast. Man, we in the building again, once again, talking to you about recruiting and things that are going on in college football. But of course, you got your boy, me, Bernard D. Williams, in the building. And also tonight, we got Mr. D.L. Gardner 205, Mr. David Gardner. What's going on, sir? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. We're still recovering from last night, the great show. If y'all missed it, man, y'all missed the classic, great times, man. Just happy to be here and happy to have our friend of the show, John Garcia, in the building. I'm just here, man. I'm just here to learn a lot tonight.
It's always. So we're not gonna let them do that to us, Dave. We're not gonna let them do it to us. Of course, we got. Speaking of one that just had to go ahead and get in. As Mr. Chauncey Tuck or Senator Tuck or Mr. ain't never met a statement that he was actually wrong about. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Just blessed and highly favored to be here with y'all guys. Especially Dave, and thank you, Dave. Thank you for showing up today. Appreciate you.
I can't with y'all too, man. Y'all just really ready to start. Anyway, moving on to Mr. All the nicknames. Mr. I can't take nothing from that. Mr. Lee Corso. Mr. I am DJ Double Dose. All that stuff. What's going on, Ben? How you doing, sir?
And you're on mute.
And you're all that.
You did all that.
My bad. Happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? Just ready to beat Dave and his mic. We got a bottle on the line, so we're trying to get it. We talking about that already, huh? Okay.
We did.
All of what?
Yeah. You heard John. John said a bottle of what?
Well, for me, my preference is Crown Royal. So you know what I'm saying.
Shocking.
That's my preference. Hey, look, once you settle in one, you good with it. You rock with it. I've been rocking with it since 2004. Well, not longer than that, since 2000. Military days. We've been rocking with Crown for a long time, bro.
I hadn't decided on mine yet.
You just let me know,
John. I hadn't decided on mine. Honestly, a win is good enough, but win and alcohol, I'll take that.
Apple juice. that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But why don't you just give Dave, if I can, give you a suggestion of your newfound bottle of choice now.
Johnny Walker wasn't bad, Tuck.
Well, Tuck, you really can't offer suggestions because you still owe me a bottle.
I do, and you will get at the holiday party.
Wait a minute. Look, John. He still owes me a bottle from last year.
Well, you'll get at the holiday party hosted by Renard this year, so we'll just make it.
Okay.
It looks like news to Renard.
Let me go and change these locks real quick.
COVID messes up last year, so I
must compliment Mr. Williams on the lighting up there in that area, man. It looks very crispy over there. I like that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. You went to see Tez today too. Got your beard lined up.
Hey, it's the light off the beard day.
It's light off the beard.
You got your bald head lined up in there.
You done hit that midnight black number 35 this year.
No, we don't hit that. We don't do that. I don't know why all this is coming my way, but since y'all want to be funny and everybody want to laugh right now, we need everybody right now, of course, to like and subscribe us on YouTube. If you can, tune into us on YouTube. We are still doing on Facebook, but we're gonna be mainly doing YouTube, especially coming up when we do stuff for the playoffs and stuff like that, broadcasting the game live, breaking the game down, all that kind of stuff like that. So make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. If you don't do nothing else, go to dslpodcast.com. You see, I got on some merch. Ben got on some merch, man. Everybody got the merch, so make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and go to dslpodcast.com. John, I'm happy that you're here. I'm so happy that you're here because we had a great conversation last night. First of all, if y'all wasn't here for the fire conversation last night about Travis Hunter, HBCUs, and everything else, y'all need to do it. And we already knew this conversation was going to continue to go on. We're going to continue to go on even with it today. So before we talk about any other thing with recruiting, I'm not stupid enough to start with anywhere else but in Jackson, Mississippi. And with Travis Hunter going from Florida State to to Jackson State, and Deion shot it down this morning. Deion said he ain't got no money. I ain't got no money. I ain't giving him.
I'm broke, baby. I'm broke, baby. Got no money, baby.
What was your initial thoughts on what you heard about Travis coming to Jackson?
Well, I think when these things happen, when momentous things happen, it kind of causes you to like self-reflect, right? Like you can pick any genre, world history, American history, your family history, whatever it is. You kind of look back on it like internally first. So I was like, okay, when was the first time I heard of Travis Hunter and Jackson State? Well, he took the visit for the homecoming game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I got a phone call that Sunday, and that person told me Travis Hunter's more likely to flip to Jackson State than Georgia, even though Georgia's getting the buzz.
Right.
Of course, Travis, every time I talk to him, every time anyone else talked to him, he says, no, it's all about Florida State. I'm solid, all of those things. So my thought was always, well, wouldn't that be a story? Could you imagine? You know, that was my answer to the source. Could you imagine if he flipped to Jackson State? And we kind of had a laugh about it because one, it would be, you know, so rare and out of the norm. And two, it was just hard to believe at that moment where, remember, mid-season, Georgia's just dominating the world. He's an in-state kid. He had took a couple of visits. Right. You're like, there's no way he's more likely to flip to JSU than Georgia based on what is happening, you know, in that time, in that moment in time.
And then Kirby fly in to one of his games at that point. He helicoptered in.
He helicoptered in to see Travis when Travis wasn't even
hurt. Right. They talked the whole time. Yep.
Right. So it just, again, in this industry, it was a laugh. So then, like I said, then it all happens. And I'm looking internally like, man, journalistically, I completely didn't follow up. I just got that info and it was like, oh, that would be crazy. And that was it. Moved on. And I think that tells you how improbable this felt 24 hours ago. But then once yesterday started happening, I was on with a different source at Collins Hill in the morning because Travis is our number one player at SI. And every year we got to have that story whenever he signs.
Right.
So I have a huge, that will never see the light of day now, a huge FSU story about him, you know, telling everyone all along he was going there, and he sure enough did, which is funny to talk about now. So I had this whole story. So I was in touch with the coach, and I was like, look, just let me know when he signs, because they didn't have a ceremony planned at all. The plan was he was going to wake up and sign.
Right.
So all the other craziness of signing day was happening. And now I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm like, hey, did he do it? No, nothing yet. Nobody's even seen him. And I'm like, okay, that's, you know, maybe he slept in. And then we get closer to the lunch hour. And then I hear Florida State sources starting to basically scramble the jets. Like, this is an emergency. Like, we need to talk to Travis. And nobody could get a hold of him. I call the kid. The phone's off. I don't have the second phone number. That he's got two. I didn't have that number. Phone is off. No one can get a hold of him. But we hear FSU scrambling to talk to him. So now that's like in our brain, in this industry, that's a panic moment.
Flag.
So you have to start to scramble everything on our end. It's like when you're covering a football game and then there's this huge pick six and the whole game story you had is flipped. You got to start over. Right. So my editors call, hey, should we pursue this? I'm like, look, I'm already on it. Drop everything else, get on this story. And by the time I was ready to hit publish, it was going to happen. And then there was a ceremony that, again, wasn't planned.
Right.
So once he put out that he was going to go live, I was like, this is absolutely happening. It's going to happen like this. So then it happens, of course, right? He throws the hats, puts on the JSU hat, and it's just like, then it happens, of course, right? At that moment, you feel it. You feel it like, I will remember this moment forever. Right. It's just from my job's perspective. And at that moment, you feel it. You feel it like that was the text. The text was,
hey, what? Hey, hold on. I'm sorry, John. Somebody got it playing in the background or something?
At that moment, you feel it.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, you can hear it. It's loud.
You good now? Yeah, we good.
You good now? You heard it now.
No, you good. You good, John? Yeah, we got it.
Check. Good.
No, you good. Yeah.
So the last text was, he did it from my source at Collins Hill. And sure enough, he did. And you just, it's one of those where you're just going to remember what you were doing and the year that it finally happened. The question that I know you guys have been asking for longer than most.
Right.
When is that elite recruit gonna make a move like this? And to have it in this year, NIL, the most we've ever talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
To happen at that moment, I thought was kind of poetic, and then I thought it was really revealing. There was a certain segment of folk out there, and y'all know.
We already know. You ain't got to,
It was immediate though.
Fans.
But John, they kept their energy that they had from the previous regime. They kept that energy,
man.
And we're just gonna leave it at that. They kept that same energy.
He went from the savior of Florida State football to a marked man in a lot of ways, and all grown men. I was going to say it wasn't.
Right.
I didn't see any grown men. Grown men completely flipped, and you could just. It's like a movie. It's like a movie. So I thought it was poetic. It was surprising, and then it became revealing. It became revealing, like a lot has in this country the last few years. It became revealing, and it became you're either on this side or you're against it. And that polarization just added fuel to the fire of the biggest recruiting story that I've ever been around. And it's not even, it's 36 hours old at this point. It felt momentous when it happened, and sleeping on it, catching back up today, it feels probably bigger than it did yesterday.
And John, to your point, it hasn't stopped. Like, I mean, all of the morning shows, like all of them. I mean, when you get, I know Feinbaum is what he is, but when you get him,
TMZ wrote a story,
right? Everybody, like, it's on everything first thing this morning, and you look at it, and it's just like, I think for a lot of people, they need to reflect on themselves in the mirror. We've had these conversations in barbershops, on Facebook, and all these other places about what if the top guys would just go to here. And when it happened, you even had some people that were, like us, and were upset. And I'm sitting up here looking like, first of all, I have a son. Like, let me tell you something. If he gets to that point, and he gets to that point where he can make that decision, I don't care about no, you know what I'm saying? Like no, we're gonna do this, son, and you know what I'm saying? We're gonna worry about that later on. We're gonna do this. And I think that for him to step out, he always walked to his own drum. Like I kept telling people, this is the same kid that allegedly wouldn't answer the phone for Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. You've had Kirby Smart flying into him. He's doing the tomahawk. Everybody's telling him, Florida State is this, Florida State that, and he's still like, nope. That's what I'm going to do what I want to do. So for me, it wasn't as shocking to me as it was to others, because I'm like, that's Travis. He wanted to do what he wanted. He didn't want to do what everybody else wanted or expected him to do. And what other place can he learn from arguably the greatest cornerback of all time?
Exactly. And he wants to play both ways.
And Deion gonna let him do it.
And Deion's gonna let him do it. And look, Norvell would have let him do it too.
Yeah. But maybe not to the extent of Deion, but yeah, no bit was.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I think that's where it's almost like when it became polarized, it's almost like one side can see the other side starting to say, okay, hold on now. Mm-hmm. Deion interviewed for that job. We all know about his history at FSU anyway.
Right.
And then people started to Google, right? They started to Google and said, wait, they were 11-1 this year?
Yeah.
And then they started pulling up, wait, Willie Taggart got fired after this record. Norvell got extended with a 1-game difference in record.
Makes no sense.
Right? You could feel it. You could feel them like forming on each side of the fence here when all of this was going down. So, and that's what carries the conversation. It's not just, hey, this elite recruit picked an HBCU, and this one has so many more layers
to it
on top of it, and parallels with Deion, with FSU in particular. So it was kind of like the perfect storm to carry the conversation. Like, when change happens, you need vehicles to carry the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis Hunter, no matter if he doesn't play a down, and obviously I'm not, I hope he plays every down, and he
Exactly.
might. No matter what he does from here on out, he has become that vehicle. And it takes a different kind of kid, like you were saying, Ben, to jump into that platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to be a quarterback and expect pressure and all of those things. It's one thing to knowingly go against the grain so hard that way that you're going to get this kind of response. And maybe Dion was the first to tell him, and maybe that's where it started to resonate, so on and so forth. But it takes a different kind of maturity and strength to do that. And that has nothing to do with football.
Nothing.
So,
John, you've had conversations with him and you've been around him. He's always been different. He's always been who he was. He was confident in who you see him at 7-on-7 events and all of those things. And he was always, like, look, I'm that guy. I don't need, he's always been, walking the beat to his own drum. So, like, for me, I'm just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Everybody kept saying Georgia's going to make him flu. Georgia. That kid didn't want to go there. Like they did everything in their power to get him.
And that means everything.
And he just was like, nah, I'm good, man.
Well, John, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tuck. My apologies.
I was just gonna say I'm glad Ben got to talk it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad he got to get it off his chest.
Well, I talked it out in the chat.
I don't know. I mean, because I was just like, wow. Ben was, he was. I won't say Ben was hurt, but Ben was like shocked at first because the literal shock that hit him. He was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, there's some heat." So that tweet that came out that morning, I was like, "Oh."
But what I said to you, Tuck, I said, well, if they talking about this amount, I said, man,
we got to stop that. We got to stop that because
that turned out to not even be true.
Right. So, I'm tired of this scenario because and here's my thing about it. We cannot feed that scenario when Bryce Young is over here building in the same money before he pulled a snap. And you got all these other NIL deals that just people don't pay attention to.
Y'all see the Texas one?
Yeah, yes. Each lineman. 50 grand.
Each lineman's getting 50 grand a year. You know how many O-line commits came out in the last week? 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Texas got 4 O-linemen.
No matter if they ride the bench or not.
Correct.
Monumental money. So it's like the NIL deals was very hot when they first went and everybody was talking about them. But now with recruiting, we don't even hardly report on it anymore. We didn't even talk about Shador's deal with Beats by Dre. We don't even talk about
we just got one with Tom Brady.
Tom Brady too.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, what are we doing, man? It's just so much going on. Like that money, if it does come, is to me, he's just another drop in the bucket because of the fact. But the problem is that he went to a HBCU.
Exactly.
That was
the issue.
Exactly.
What was that with Tom Brady? You guys just said. I missed that.
Tom Brady.
It was the NFT. It was
an apparel brand, like a sporting, like athletic leisure wear kind of brand.
Because it's Under Armour. It's Under Armour too.
Yeah, he's an Under Armour guy, and they signed 10 college athletes, and Shador is one of them.
Oh wow!
I think Cade McNamara at Michigan. There's some basketball players too.
Yeah.
So exactly, like no one bats an eye at that.
Right.
I think that's when there's change, people want to find an excuse like, oh, well, this can't be a real thing. So it has to be, the vehicle has to be something else. It has to be money driven. It has to be something outside the box because there's no way this kid would turn down this for this place in Jackson, Mississippi. Right. So it's like a retweet of ignorance that's out there because there's just no way, right? Your logic tells you there's no way, which tells you a lot about the person. And it's like people need a reminder, like the schools don't have anything to do with NIL. Nothing.
Say it again, John. Say it again, John.
The schools, no school, whether it's Alabama, Jackson State, or Averett, where I played Division III, they'd have nothing to do with the NIL. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All they do is when a kid brings a deal to the office of compliance, all they do is make sure that it, depending on the school, doesn't conflict with a branding deal. Like if you're an Oregon kid, like you can't be rocking Reeboks,
Right.
Stuff like that.
State law,
and make sure it's within the state laws because they are different dependent on the state, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a cross check by the schools, but everything else in the deal and the money and all of that, the coaches, there's no coaching input there. It just goes straight from player to compliance for approval. Right. But the deals come from independent businesses. So it's not, we're not saying Texas is giving $50,000 to each kid on the offensive line. It is a separate group, a separate company. It's car dealerships. It's NFT folks. It's
the NFTs are becoming huge now.
Right. So it's like the ignorance was flying so crazy yesterday that it's like, hold on.
And
schools have nothing to do with
That's
so
John,
Deion's not lying when he says we don't have money.
You got to drive that point home because I think a lot of people get that misconstrued. They really do.
I mean, here's the biggest thing. I think Lincoln Riley saw this writing on the wall too, because Lincoln Riley's going to the number one, entertainment spot, number one as far as promotion and everything. So if this is turning this way, Lincoln Riley saw the writing on the wall. Like, Norman, Oklahoma, or LA? Come on, guys, this ain't even hard.
Hey, Lincoln Riley has unlimited use of that jet, I think.
Yes, unlimited use of the jet.
I was sold in. I don't care what the shit was like.
When we talking about the kids, though,
and his family.
And his family.
I'm his cousin. I'm like his 45th cousin or something. I'm trying to get some jet mileage.
Hey, man, just fly me to the mall, bro.
Hey, cuz we're gonna land in the Galleria, bro. In the Quinjet. We finna have some Avengers on the plane with us, bro.
You said in the Quinjet?
In the Quinjet, bro.
Man, we can do a whole show just about that. But I do want you to speak on, before we get into some teams and some more recruiting. You said the understanding of people in NIL deals, right? Like, I think that's the biggest thing is that if you go back 2 years, even posts that we've made, we always said college football is changing. You need to keep up. College football is changing and keeping up. This hitting mainstream, NIL deals hitting mainstream, seems to have people saying, what? Man, this has been coming and been going on. College football has been changing this way for years. You just haven't been keeping up and haven't been adapting. So you hear kids making money and you hear all this other stuff and you just feel like, well, we're not there. Do you feel like that's more what it is, that people are just not really keeping up and understanding? I mean, they don't do it like we do it. They're not deep into it, but still, like, you should know, like, other things that's going on.
People weren't mad at Quinn Ewers yesterday, and he took $1 million from a kombucha company. Now, I didn't know what kombucha was before he signed that deal.
But Quinn, let's talk for 1 second. Remember, he just went to OSU, got paid, sat for his little minute, and said, "You know what? I'm going back to Texas." Like,
so okay, exactly, and that's where it feels so much bigger than football, because people are going to treat Travis Hunter like when there's an outbreak of like a virus, like patient zero, like the person who started it. People are going to treat Travis like he's case study zero in the NIL detractors, right? Like that's going to be their go-to conversation. Mm-hmm. Well, Travis Hunter said no to FSU to go to Jackson State. Well, case study zero is actually Quinn Ewers, because not only did he, and I have nothing against what Quinn did, I would have done the same exact thing.
Right.
Quinn Ewers, okay, timeline. Quinn Ewers commits to Texas early 2020 under Tom Herman. Obviously, things go south. He gets fired. He decommits. Quinn plays his junior year, South Lake Carroll, big-time high school in Texas. They go to the state title game. He's banged up, and they lose. So after that point, he goes back and focuses on recruiting, commits to Ohio State, and his whole mantra is like, I needed to commit to Ohio State and get that out the way so that I can come avenge this state title game loss as a senior. He gets healthy. He's killing it in the offseason. The arm looks crazy. Matt Stafford comparisons, all fun. Summer comes. Well, all of a sudden now I only need a couple of classes now to graduate high school. And Ohio State is saying, hey, you can come in here, get some reps as a true freshman. I mean, at that point, CJ Stroud was the assumed starter, but nothing was as developed as it is now, of course. And then these companies started reaching out to Quinn, and Quinn used us to play through some of that. And somebody at Elite 11 was like, what kind of companies do you want to hear from? Right? Because NIL was brand new as of July 1st, 2021. And he was like Wrangler, Bass Pro Shops. I mean, he went straight stereotypes, which was great. And then all of a sudden, right after that, there's a kombucha company that wants to sign him right now. And Texas didn't allow that in high schools. Most states don't allow it in high schools. I think California, New Jersey, there's only a few that do. Yeah. So for Quinn, it was, do I skip high school and go cash in what was rumored to be $1 million deal and go to Ohio State? Or do I stay and finish high school and go avenge that state title game loss and then go to Ohio State and maybe miss out on this deal? Obviously, he made the right call. He skipped high school and then in August enrolled at Ohio State as the 4th string quarterback, but he got his money. And then he hit the transfer portal. As soon as the season started to wind down, he hit the transfer portal, and now he got announced yesterday to go back to Texas. And now he is back on his original timeline of basically being a redshirt freshman at Texas, where he always wanted to go. But now he's got a lot more money in his pocket along the way. So Travis Hunter just changed schools. Quinn Ewers skipped a year of high school and changed schools and then came back to the original school thereafter. Yeah. So again, nothing against Quinn. I probably would have done the same thing, especially if I was a quarterback who always wanted to go there.
Exactly.
When we talk about NIL, that's where the conversation should start.
Right.
And it shouldn't start with Travis Hunter. It was just a little bit more polarizing for a lot of reasons. On signing day, throw Dion in, throw HBCUs in, throw an angry Florida State fan base in, like mix it all up. I get it, but that's not where that conversation should start. And again, another reminder, that kombucha company was not an Ohio State group. It was just a company that wanted to deal with Quinn. So yes, it is. It's something that's gonna continue to pop up, but we can't say it enough that the NIL deals don't come from the schools themselves, and Travis Hunter is not case study zero in the NIL, whatever you want to call it, right? Conspiracy or the corruption of college football.
And you know something, John? And you know something? The whole thing about Quinn is, it's like now because of this, it's just ain't nobody even going to talk about it no more. It's like we're going to talk about Travis Hunter, so we talk about Travis Hunter, and then boom, bowls, and then boom, playoffs. And that's going to be it. Quinn is good. Like, ain't nobody finna talk about him no more. That's over with and done. Like, ain't nobody finna mention it no more, and that's it.
He has another $1 million deal lined up right now to go to Texas. Somebody's finna do something. Then we got another signing day coming up too, so it's going to be talked about forever. It ain't gonna do. In my opinion, it just ain't gonna stop. And then, you know, to the point of, you know, like he was talking about, you know, whoever was in Queen's ear the whole entire time was brilliant. Because somebody had to be in here. Like, man, look, you know you're not gonna go in anywhere and start automatically. So I don't think Sark was even hired at Texas beforehand. So if Sark's not even at Texas right now, go to Ohio State. You know, go have fun, do a couple of classes, get some college courses, make $1 million. Get some LeBron Ohio State gear and come back, you know, and get some leverage on that part. You know how the system works. You know how a college football system is you know, it is run. And I think going to Ohio State, him coming in to go to Texas to be the starter, he's got a leg up on the game right now. He can go into Texas to be the day one starter because the guys, even Sark didn't want those guys. Sark was having a revolving door for quarterback.
Right.
You know, so I think it was whoever was in his ear, I think they did a great job.
Well, speaking of revolving doors, moving on. Before we get into this next part with John, we definitely got to do this. We got to let y'all know that we got the Capital One Bowl Mania contest on ESPN.com. If you have not signed up, we have the $10 buy-in for the Cash App. Just click it right there. $10 entry fee. We have the standard scoring system. Enter picks for each game. That's the password right there for you. Cash App is Down South Football. Please join. Please come on in, man, so you can see a little bit more. But also, while we got John right here, I definitely want him to see this. We have a tie in our rankings.
Oh God!
So we have a tie in our rankings for
86.
third and fourth place. Ben, if you say 86 again, I'm gonna cut your mic off. So I was told to pick 10 games for 1 week between December 17th and 24th, and these two guys are gonna have a little playoff of their own. So people have been asking. So here are the 10 games. We got Utah State versus Oregon State, -7.5. Western Kentucky versus Appalachian State. As you can see it all there. Y'all see it with the point totals on the side. These are the 10 games that these guys are going to be playing against. Okay. And the way we're still going to do it, if you choose the spread and the person and is right, you get two. You double up.
Oh man,
So
what's the over under on Dave? Because I think Dave got this in the bag.
You think Dave got this one?
You want to do a side bet talk? You want to do a side bet talk?
We can.
Another bottle on the line.
You want to do a side bet talk?
I'll bring you 2 bottles. I got first. Well, that further lets me know.
That's why, because anytime him and his iPad, that was just God.
45 minutes. That's it. He got 45 minutes and he's out of here. But I think the over under on Dave is probably a +3 on Dave.
I mean, technically, it's not a tie. I just kind of did this to save Ben's feelings. I mean, it's really not a tie. I mean,
John, we both got 86 wins. We both got 86 wins, John. That's it. That's my deal.
We got
How many
86
losses though?
wins,
How
John.
many
It
losses?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We picked the
How many
same
losses you
amount of
got,
winners.
Hold on.
We picked the
See,
same amount of winners.
that's the problem right there.
Uh-oh.
Ben wants to pull his logic out and don't want to apply the regular logic. So since they got 86 wins and Dave missed a week because he had something else going on, he don't want to acknowledge the fact that he got almost 10 more losses than Dave do, and we went by percentages. So he's so stuck on his 86 win, he won't talk about the fact that he got 10 more losses on his side of the record.
You know what, John? I'm gonna have a shirt that just says 86. You know what? Damn it, print it.
You still wrong?
86.
Hey, you
Oh
still
man,
wrong, but
Aaron said second and third losers. I was like, dang.
You know,
no, it ain't even like that. But anyway, John, back to what you were saying, sir. Make sure y'all sign up for the challenge, man. We put it all out on our social media so you can see it. $10 buy-in tomorrow at 11. That's when it starts, but you can get in. Go ahead and get in. Do what you gotta do, man. It's gonna be a nice little prize at the end. Probably about $150 for the first prize. Probably about $25 or $50 for the second prize. We'll let y'all know that part really, really soon. So make sure you sign up and do what you need to do.
That'll be fun. A lot of these kids are starting to opt out now too, so you got to pay attention.
You got to pay attention.
You got to pay attention. Pitt's quarterback just opted out of the bowl game, so
yes,
yeah,
you got opt out.
Careful.
You got what else you got? Transfer portal. You got there's Omicron or what everybody's naming the Omicron or Omarion. They got all that going on right now. It's a lot of stuff in to happen. That's why I was like, if Ben's gonna pick what is hard, or is he gonna put this research to the hand?
Man, I got the research department working. You know,
I
got the research department working. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Ron, you working on the research department? Ron, come. I got my research department right here. Hey, John, look, I got my research department right here. Come. So Ron, we picking winners, right?
Yes.
You picking winners? You told him thank you for your game Saturday.
Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the money.
Yeah, that's my research department right there. So
Yeah,
we in this tight. You know what I'm saying?
Him and his research department. But John, also, man, I want to let's talk a little bit about some of these. We know that we can talk about with the dominant classes. We can start with 1, 2, 3, or however you want it, whatever way you want to do it. I think a lot of people were shocked about the fullness of Texas A&M class, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia once again with their class. Georgia seems like they added a lot of length, athletic length on their side of the ball. The Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, man. What's your thoughts about them guys?
dominant. These are the three classes that started trending up about mid-season. They started to put their spikes in the ground and make some headway. It was expected with Bama and Georgia, but when A&M upset Bama on the field, usually it doesn't matter that much, but you saw that as kind of the final hump for recruits to buy in with Jimbo. The next week after that, they get Walter Nolan. They get Chris Marshall, a couple of SI 99 guys. And then they start really rolling after that, and they're not done. I think all three of those schools have a chance to add recruits. Georgia's got Christian Miller still on the board. Bama's got Kendrick Law, a couple other good players on the board. Jaleel Skinner needs to sign tomorrow. But A&M's got like 5 guys. They're still in on them. Number 1 corner, Denver Harris. Omario Bohr is a pass rusher. Devin Campbell on the O-line. A&M, Shamar Stewart, defensive end from Miami. A&M can blow the other 2 out of the water at the end of the recruiting cycle, which is not something we thought was really possible. They've got a huge class, and they're recruiting coast to coast better than anybody right now. And I think it was really that late October game against Bama that really just showed people that A&M was there. And usually it's not a 1-to-1 ratio with an on-field performance. But the amount of recruits they had in the stands that day, combined with just the perception of A&M boosting up, just really changed how they recruit. I mean, they lost their DC the week before signing day, and it didn't hurt them one bit. I mean, that is really hard to overcome. I think Georgia losing Dan Lanning hurt them on signing day. I think they could have been in it for a couple more guys. But you know, Mike Elko going to Duke didn't really hurt A&M, and that class is absolutely loaded. And I think perceptionally, the important thing to always think of when you rank classes or you're talking about instant impact and all that, which are the schools that brought in kids they don't normally bring in? A&M's been recruiting great on defense for a long time, just like Auburn, just like Bama, just like Georgia. But which of these schools are bringing in talent at positions that we're not used to seeing? And I think Texas A&M bringing in Connor Wiegman at quarterback. This is a 2-sport kid.
That's what I was about to ask.
Big-time athlete and a big kid on his own right. I think now that's different. That feels different for Jimbo at A&M. I think this is the most talented quarterback that he's brought in at Texas A&M. So that's when a class really starts to feel different, when you're starting to check boxes that maybe you hadn't checked to that point.
Do you feel like the Max Johnson thing is any momentum to that with him to A&M because his brother, you know, his brother.
I mean, isn't that crazy? Like, that was the last game of the season,
right?
And you know, the funny thing is, the elephant in the room is that A&M had some huge letdowns on the field. But the high of the Bama upset was so high that it's like nobody cared about the other ones. Right. But yeah, Max Johnson went in there and threw LSU's way to victory to send Coach O out against A&M, and now he might just join them. That's crazy. It's crazy. The brothers do want to play together. They're both kids, as you're well aware, Ben. So yeah, I think I thought it was supposed to happen today, but it looks like he's waiting a little bit. So maybe
that's what I said, because I was like, I thought once the brother did what he did, I was like, Max should be, you know, right behind him. But it's like it's still kind of like in the wind right now. Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is that the quarterback portal market is nuts. It's very, very good. Even with Quinn Ewers off the board and Spencer Rattler off the board, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in there.
Gabriel just went to UCLA. So
Gabriel went to UCLA, because I think he was going to go to Ole Miss, but the OC left to Oklahoma. So there's just a lot of good players at that position in the portal right now. But I'm surprised that Max hadn't announced A&M yet, but I do expect A&M to be the spot for him. So the rest of the dominoes can continue to fall. But SEC West, you know, internal transfer like that is rare.
It's going to probably happen one more time. It's probably going to happen one more time, I think. Probably.
You think Bo's going to stay in the West?
It would make sense to go to Ole Miss.
I mean, I think the fit is phenomenal there, but I just knowing Bo since 8th grade, the thought of him playing against Auburn for me is weird. And that would guarantee a game against Auburn.
Yeah. Either look, you gotta look at it like this. He gave all he got. He graduated from Auburn. I mean, people just he can only take so much dogging, you know. I mean, and I don't blame him, and that's why I'm too upset about him leaving. But he got that chip, and what better coach do you know to take advantage of a chip
and will love it? Lane.
That's true. That's true. Lane wanted that job too.
Give Lane another enemy. Give him another enemy.
He wanted that Auburn job so bad he could taste it, and they went to a different route. But, what's the USC quarterback? Do you think the USC quarterback from that's called there's a transfer portal? Also? Yeah, that's
Slovis.
I can't never. Yeah. What do you think he is?
I don't know. So the cynic in me wanted him to go to UCLA for the same conversation, you know. But obviously, that's not going to happen now. I think Arizona needs a quarterback. They're trying to build under Jed Fish. That's just the roster's just not very talented. I'm not sure. I mean, Oregon's still trying to figure out what they're going to look like on offense. They've got a big-time quarterback recruit that was sitting behind Anthony Brown, and that was probably one of the bigger mistakes Cristobal made while he was up there is that he didn't roll the dice with the young guy.
He never made the flip. He never made the switch.
Yeah. I thought that was a little too conservative, and you wonder if he took that as a lesson or if that's just going to be how he is. You never know. Right. So you don't know what that kid's thinking as well. And that kid's from Arizona, so he's, you know, it's not like he's a Justin Herbert who grew up right there kind of right. guy. So I think Slovis stays on the West Coast in general. It's just kind of easier for a kid like that. But I don't have any scoop on who else he might be looking at. Like I said, the cynic in me was like, man, he should go to UCLA.
Hey, I feel you.
Yeah, it's so much it's so much scoop and so much stuff that sometimes I don't even say it on the air. I just keep it to myself, man. People just talk. They just talk too much. Blah 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 blah. All this other type of stuff like that. Travis, we don't do that. Auburn hate on here, sir. We talk real football. If you coming from a fan perspective, I'm sorry, but you know, AU fans are very. You're on with a couple AU fans, but I'm a college football. Hold on. Well, I know. Bottom line, I'm a college football fan first. So don't come in and talk about who ain't bright and all that stuff like that. Don't classify a whole group of people. Man, come on now. We everybody's better than that. Now we don't just say who's bright, who. Nah, come on now. Let's do that.
Look, I'm not even gonna talk to him tonight. I'm gonna leave him alone because he's so happy.
He's good.
Travis is a family. You know what I'm saying? He's happy, but I'm glad that Kelly got to keep his foundation class of those 5 stars and 4 stars. Congratulations, LSU. And I'm glad Brian Kelly talk Cajun all of a sudden, especially for being a Midwest guy. All of a sudden, he just got that twang in his voice. So, congratulations to Brian Kelly. And it's glad that he got to keep. So, what you think about the LSU class? We're talking about LSU. What you think about that class so far?
A little underwhelming. Look, I mean, at LSU, it's really simple. You're judged by keeping Louisiana talent home. It's the same mission Lincoln Riley's got at USC to keep those guys in LA, Cristobal at Miami. It's real simple for those schools, and that's why they're attractive jobs, right? Billy Napier, same thing. It's a little different, though, at LSU because there's been so much success with Bama going in there, with A&M going in there. So they did keep some newly offered talent home. You know, Jordan Allen, the receiver, Ibieta. The night before signing day, those are both kids who the previous staff weren't all in on. So Brian Kelly went in and got, you know, a couple of layups maybe to get perception going. But he did win a big battle with Quincy Wiggins, who's a Baton Rouge kid who there was a lot of Florida buzz going into yesterday. So that was a big win for them. But outside of that, not great. Shaz Preston stuck with or picked Alabama over LSU, a receiver. That's the one position that in Louisiana, you're like, come on, man. Like, you got to keep those guys home after what Devontae Smith did. Aaron Anderson was a longtime LSU commit, decommitted when the Coach O news came out, flipped to Bama, and then there was some buzz that he might flip back to LSU. That didn't happen. He stuck with Alabama. And then a couple other uncommitted Louisianans didn't sign.
Right.
They're waiting, which means it could mean good things for Brian Kelly, like they want to learn more about what he's building, but it also gives the other programs time to continue pushing their own narrative. So Kendrick Law is one of those. Jacoby Matthews was a former LSU commit. He's still on the market too. So you're judged by the Louisiana guys you bring in. And for me, you're judged by the ones you bring in against Bama, against Georgia, against A&M. And for those battles, Kelly got one yesterday. So we'll see how it goes going forward. But kind of mixed results, a little underwhelming on signing day, but obviously tough for all those coaching staff. So we'll see.
Right.
Well, he was asking about the 2 5-stars. I think he talked about the 2 5-stars in their class. Which guys you talking about, Travis? I want to make sure we get the right ones. But while he typing that in there, one that surprised me yesterday was Michigan. I mean, they got some momentum and everything now. Of course, Darius Clemens went to Michigan, and they had some other ones. What was your thoughts about the Michigan class?
Yeah, Michigan had a real busy day. They added 4 or 5 recruits. They lost a couple too. Wasn't all great for Michigan, but more positive than negative. And I think the task there is the total opposite of what Brian Kelly. You got to be a national brand at Michigan. And if the A&M game over Bama let the benefit of the doubt rise in College Station, what does beating Ohio State do for Michigan kids, for kids that are leaning that way? I mean, that was the biggest hurdle for anybody against a rival of late, right? Because all the other ones have been kind of more back and forth than that one. That one's been so dominant and one-sided. So I think that was a big part of it. Obviously, Michigan's in the playoff at this point. So they took advantage. And that class got rolling. They flipped several kids, including a really intriguing athlete from Virginia, from Virginia Tech, who's from Texas, a big athletic quarterback who might play a couple positions there at Michigan. So I like what Michigan did. They trended up. I thought Tennessee trended up yesterday as well. Big winner. Mississippi State kind of like quietly had a really nice class. They're finishing top 20 for us, close to the top 15 on SI. So as usual, the SEC is rolling, but elsewhere, I like what Michigan did for sure. And I actually think on the West Coast, USC's building up to something pretty special, which it helps when Oregon changes coaching staffs. But I think USC is going to start to really, reestablish that dominance, at least in recruiting on the West Coast, which is obviously something that they haven't had.
Okay. He was asking about Walker Howard, the QB.
Well, look, this was the one kid that, first of all, thank you to Walker Howard for putting out that Brian Kelly video. This was the one kid that LSU had to have, first of all. We all know before Miles Brennan said he was going back to LSU, they needed this quarterback depth because it was just Garrett Nussmeier and it was going to be Walker Howard. So you couldn't miss on that recruitment. Now, what was advantageous maybe for LSU was that the only school that was really threatening to flip him from LSU was Notre Dame. And he took a visit up there with Brian Kelly. So that was kind of the one coach that he had a really strong relationship with beyond Coach O. So obviously he takes the LSU job, and it was kind of done at that point. But you still had to go physically do it. Go meet with him, go in home, host him over the weekend, and land his signature. So keeping him was a very big deal. I think, when we talk about winners and losers, we're talking about like additions on signing day, who you picked up on signing day. But overall, holding on to Walker Howard is easily the biggest recruit LSU could have picked up at any point in this cycle, because he's an in-state kid. And that is not only a position of need in terms of a talent upgrade, but you just need bodies in that quarterback room. Even with Miles Brennan coming back, you still probably need one more body between now and the end of springtime just to get through a full transition like LSU's trying to get through. So that was absolutely big.
Well, we talked about the winners. Who are your losers so far?
I mean, unfortunately for Ben, Florida State is the glaring loser.
Oh yeah, we talked about it pre-show.
Yeah, it's just
Too many
you
whiffs.
know,
Too many
it wasn't just Travis Hunter.
No.
That alone would have been an easy kind of poke fun at kind of thing to throw up there, but they lost Devin Mortimer to Louisville. Legacy pass rusher Marvin Jones signed with Georgia.
Earl Little.
When
Bama supposedly didn't have no room for him, but they made room for him on yesterday.
Earl Little had some FSU momentum that was zapped by Bama. But the biggest miss for FSU, besides Travis Hunter flipping, was Tyree West. I mean, this was a kid
Tennessee
committed to Georgia. He visited Florida State and, to my understanding, gave a silent commit to Norvell.
Yep.
But he didn't go public with it. And he had one more visit weekend, and he visited Tennessee. And even our Tennessee sources were like, yeah, he's a good player, but they didn't know if they had a chance. So him signing with Tennessee was a really big deal, really big blow to Florida State. And then another one was Nigel Kelly, former commitment, a kid who was really looking like he was going to go back to FSU. Right. And ironically, this is kind of like the Brian Kelly, Walker Howard thing. The top threat to FSU last time I talked to him was Oregon and Mario Cristobal. He took the visit out there and really liked it. But you could tell he's a Fort Lauderdale kid. You could tell that he was like, it was really cool and different, but it's Oregon. And then Cristobal takes the Miami job. He visits over the weekend. That's now his local school because he's a Fort Lauderdale kid. And then he signs with Miami. And Miami really was very much third at best before Cristobal got the job. So that was a big loss for Florida State too.
And John, don't forget about Basaint. They sent the whole cavalry down there for Basaint. Don't forget about that's part of where.
Right. It wasn't on signing day, but
they weren't on signing day. But let's not forget about Basaint. They sent the whole squad down there for Basaint. Right. And then if you want to go early on some months ago with Pritchett. So it's been a lot of
committed to Miami when everyone knew Diaz was getting fired.
Everybody knew it. Which he still went to Miami.
That does not happen. That does not happen. So it was a rough stretch for Florida State. Now they did add a couple good players now. The linebacker from Homestead's a good player. I really like Azariah Thomas.
What you think about Armilla? I was shocked because Armilla been on the fence with he's been all over the place.
And throughout that was process. A nice late night game. I wonder if things were so bad during the day that they're like, look, man, like just do it tonight. Like we need this tonight. But that was a big get. There was some Florida buzz for Armilla yesterday. So
I'm still worried about McCall too. I'm still worried about it's some floating around about McCall. I'm still worried about McCall.
But didn't he sign?
He did, but it's some things floating around about him possibly. You know how they go. So it's still some things floating around about McCall. So
well, John, we want to change it up a little bit. We can go back to recruiting in just a second, but we definitely don't want to forget this weekend. We got the Celebration Bowl. We got South Carolina State versus Jackson State. Jackson State is a 9.5-point favorite. 11 a.m. ABC, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, GA. Definitely want to have a conversation about this game. I think South Carolina State is in an uphill battle because of Jackson State's defense. That's kind of where I am on it. But Dave, what's your thoughts on this game, man? What are you feeling? You feel like Jackson State gonna cover? You think they're gonna win? What you got on it?
You're on mute. You gotta hit that button with the mic to make the mic work. You gotta hit that button.
Every time, my mom used to have a saying, man, back in the day, what she would say? You know what she would say, Renard? The devil is always busy.
Always.
The devil is always busy, man. So Tuck, you the devil, son. You the devil on this show. Hey, but honestly, man, South Carolina State, they're gonna be scrappy. They're gonna come to play now. But I think overall, like you said, Jackson State, I think the defensive front will control the game. I think Shadua going to do his thing. I think you're going to kind of get more of the same what you've seen out of Jackson State all year, especially with the momentum that they have, with the crowd support that they will have in that dome that is going to be rocking. I think you're going to get a dominant performance, but don't be surprised if it's tight early, because South Carolina State they're not gonna go down without a fight. So but again, I think Jackson State take care of business.
I got you. Tuck, what's your thoughts on it, sir?
Pretty much the same sentiment that Dave said. I think it's gonna be a good game at first. 'Cause I think it's gonna be hyped up. Everybody's gonna be going through the motions of of being there and all that good stuff, and then they'll settle down to a medium. I think Jackson State will show their dominance, and I mean that roster is loaded. By the way, it ain't just
especially on defense side.
Especially on defense side, everybody keep talking about some his son. They keep talking about the quarterback son, but they ain't talking about the one who plays safety and DB. He's a hitter. He'll line up and knock you out. He got some SEC experience, but I really think the roster will start to pull away in the third, maybe the middle of third quarter. Who knows? Because Deion's got these guys ready to play. So, but yeah, give me Jackson State.
Ben, are you of the same sentiment, or where are you at with it?
I mean, I'm in the same sentiment. I mean, because I think that with everything that's going on, I think Jackson State is ready to come out there and put on the show. I mean, it's kind of like one of those. I wouldn't say it's a coming out party because they've been doing all year. But right now, national stage, ABC, you know what I'm saying. After what just happened this moment, I can probably guarantee you, Travis is going to be there. So it's going to be very festive. And it's going to be nice. So,
gotcha. What about you, John? How you feeling about it, sir?
I'm wondering how early in the broadcast Travis Hunter's name is going to be mentioned.
It ain't even going to go 2 minutes.
I was going to say over under is like 60 seconds. Look, I agree with most of this. That defense and the talent is a little bit too much. Now, their offense has not been incredibly explosive all year long.
No.
So I can see it being tight into the second half with a low-scoring game at this point. I don't know what the total is. Yeah, probably pregame. I don't know what the total is for the game, but I'd probably take the under, even though the weather conditions will be controlled by the dome. But South Carolina State has nothing to lose, so I would expect them to be real loose, trick plays, whatever, because this is a big stage for them too. And then on the flip side, Jackson State has pressure. They have pressure to perform in this game because of not only because of Travis, but because of 11-1 and Deion. That's something that those kids have probably heard about all season long, and I'm sure Deion has acknowledged it. That we welcome this kind of pressure, but you still have to go out and do it, and that level needs their constant, even if it's just a perceptual constant of Jackson State. They almost need Jackson State to go out and win this thing just for the continued growth of viewership and interest in general with HBCU ball, because it's low hanging fruit, but it'll just be, if they get blown out for some reason, it would just be easy targets, easy pickings for everybody else. So they don't need something like that to happen, and I don't think it will. Like you said, like you all have said, that defense is too good. Too many borderline, Power 5 Sunday type guys on that roster.
Yes.
And Sanders don't turn it over. So I would have a hard time imagining them getting blown out. But they do have a lot of pressure, and it's a different kind of pressure than they've had to deal with so far.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm definitely going with Jackson State now for like spread or whatever. Like I said, the defense is too strong. Aubrey Miller's in the guy's dog. Like Aubrey Miller was a dog last year. He's still killing them, man. He's just doing his thing, and I just feel like they just got too much on the defensive side. That's just me.
Hey, quick question: do you remember who played in this bowl game last year? Because then we choose one of the teams, and we said they were gonna blow. Wasn't it Alcorn State that played in the game a couple years ago? And we said that the Alcorn State was going to blow.
No, remember that was the opener. That was the opener.
That was the opener. That's what it was. I was like,
remember we all rolled with Alcorn State. And
I was like, oh my God, please don't let this happen again tomorrow. That was the opener. Like, what?
Hey, I do want to say this, John. We will always appreciate you coming on, because, man, I'm telling you, man, we're gonna do some more stuff in person, and we would love to have you if you're in this state talking to us about some stuff. But we got to do this like I Am Athlete style. we got to say who the X. So we got to ask you who gonna win, Ben or Dave? Who you going with? It's on the line. Who you got? You got Ben or you got Dave?
I think Ben needs a dub in his life right now.
Give it a dub.
It's no disrespect to Dave, but I think Ben has been through a lot.
You know what I'm saying? It's been a bad week
mentally. And I think he just needs something in the win column that he can hold on to for a minute.
Give it a dub. Give it a dub.
Hey, John. You know when a bad football team needs a win, and if things could go bad, they will. Kind of like the New York Giants. That's
a silent shot.
That was a silent shot. I'm sorry, dog.
I'm just saying, bad teams, they'll play you tight, but it's gonna be a scoop and score. It's gonna be something crazy to make them lose. That's kind of what's gonna happen. I mean, somebody's gonna block a punt and run it back, and I'm gonna win. That's kind of.
Hey, I'm with you on that, dog. I'm with you on that. But hey, but people that's still watching, if y'all got a comment, something y'all want to ask John about, please drop it here real soon. John, they want reaction to the Eli Ricks news.
Just absurd.
Man, it's funny. You said the same thing we said. We was like, wow. Like,
it's
really?
Just like we start hearing Damani Jackson's gonna stick with USC tomorrow. And they're like, okay, we'll just go get the other modern day kid who's older and better right now. It's, the transfer portal thing is crazy. It's wide open and all that. And I go back to Saban, and he was like, are you sure y'all want to do this? Because when I need a corner or I need somebody, I'm going to go grab them if you open this box. And this year has been obviously a great example of that with Jameson Williams. Even Toto has been really good for Bama at times.
I'm glad you said that key word.
It's just like, at times. When it's fast flow, he's good to go. When it is,
when it's downhill, one read, boom, I'm there. But if he got to play coverage, if he got to figure out what guy's in motion, it's rough. It's tough. They put one guy in motion. You got him.
They didn't really have anyone else though. They needed some speed there. The game, the middle backers they've been bringing in have been a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical. They needed a fast flow guy. So they kind of took the good and the bad. But look, with Ricks, I mean, this is incredible length, 6'2". And even going back to high school, I mean, elite ball skills. And those are the two things you have to have now at corner. And Bama was up and down at corner this year. I think they really needed an upgrade there. There's going to be a lack of experience somewhere next year. So bringing him in as a one-year rental is going to pay off. I mean, I really struggle seeing him not fit in or not see the field. Like I don't see it. As long as he gets healthy, obviously, with all that stuff, I don't see a way where he rides the pine with that skill set. And with what Bama wants to do, they want to play man coverage and challenge wide receivers. And those are the two things that Ricks is very, very good at.
What? And we got one from Sean. It's a little bit long. John, who are some under the radar guys that you think will be difference makers and play above their rank down the line? I watched some tape on Auburn tight ends out of New England. I think he could be one. Thoughts?
He's talking about the kid from Nebraska.
I'm sorry, Nebraska. I just thought he just put any. I'm sorry, Sean.
So we've got Michael Riley Ducker in the SI 99 as one of the top 99 guys in the country. So I'm with you, Sean. He is a superstar, big time basketball kid. Just all the new age tight end comments. He fits all of those things. I really like what Auburn did with the junior college guys. Just bring in experience. Bring in experience right now. It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be the number one player. And they might get him too, by the way. Go get experience at those positions. And I think Auburn did a good job with that. But guys are always going to outplay the perception because we can't project the mentality. We can't project the drive, the heart, and how freaking hard it is to play college football. We can't project those things. So there's always going to be guys who play up, and I really like the quarterback, Holden Garrett. He is a dog. He is a bulldog.
Thank you.
I mean, he makes I'm sure internally he eases the pain of Bo Nix leaving long term.
Mm-hmm.
He eases that pain because he's ready to go sooner rather than later. Now, what the rest of that quarterback room looks like, TJ and Davis. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do there. That kid hasn't even really had a chance. They need help too in the quarterback room. They might have to go hit the portal. But Holden Garrett is a very, very good football player.
Hey, John.
Big, he's athletic, and he got that multiple arm angle thing too.
Hey, John, when you said Davis, man, I don't know if you ever seen Coach 30, but
oh yeah.
Yeah,
hilarious.
Davis.
Davis had always Davis, yeah.
Davis had the red cleats on, man.
Oh boy, Davis is the man. Davis is the man, but Arian as our good supporter of the show, man, buys a lot of stuff from us, man. He supports. He hears every day.
Well,
most times. But don't be talking about Arian. Leave Arian alone. It's
but I'm just saying. The thing is, Boot ain't even in the portal though. That's what I'm saying.
Don't mean nothing.
That's why that question was for John.
Booty.
I think these guys are going to give Kelly a chance in the spring, at least to see. Look, I mean, they don't even have an offense or an OC yet, so it's really too early to do any of those things. And Boute's got as much talent as anybody at that position, really nationally. So it might not matter as much where he suits up to get where he wants to go. But I do think he gives it into the spring. I do know that they've lost some other good receivers to the portal as well, and those kids are going to make decisions here soon. I think Deion Smith to Ole Miss is about a lock. So I think LSU's got a huge talent problem on offense, and they really haven't addressed it yet. But again, how could you when you're still building a staff? I think that's kind of what's been tough for a lot of these schools on early signing days, that they're making decisions without coordinators, position coaches, etc.
And I got another one. How long do you think Primetime will be at JSU?
This is a great question. I feel so. Deion has done a lot, obviously, for HBCUs and the platform. He is asking those questions that y'all have asked forever. So there's a bit of a responsibility that I think he has to have with staying at JSU for a certain amount of time. I don't know what that timeline is in terms of years, but I do feel like he's got to stick it out. Now, he's obviously interviewed the last couple of years for other jobs. TCU probably should have offered him the job this year with his connections in Dallas and what he's doing.
Wish they would have.
Yeah, I know. They probably should have offered it to him. If he continues on this trajectory, he's going to continue to get bigger offers. So my internal struggle with that question is, how responsible does he personally feel for the need to further the HBCU narrative versus making it to the Power Five, where, I mean, how many black coaches do we have in the Power Five? Not nearly enough. How many? I mean, minority coaches in general, not nearly enough. We all know how hard that is, and how there's a lack of time allowance for those guys to build programs. So he knows that, obviously. So does it have to be Florida State, or is there another Power Five job where he could avoid feeling responsible for what some will call, like, not a neglect, but, just kind of a turning the page against what he was trying to build nationally for HBCUs? Or does he get to a point where in 2 years it's there and ESPN picks up the phone and has a contract, and there's more games on air, and there's more big time recruits making those moves? Does he kind of feel like, okay, my work is done here, now let me go grab, I don't know, whatever job that comes open in a few years?
I am very perplexed by that, because if you move too soon, you appear to be a hypocrite.
That's what I'm about to say too.
Yeah, you built your whole stance on, hey, I want to even the playing field. That's the whole thing he's been selling. So if you if he would have took the TCU deal, if it was on the table, he would. I could not respect him after that. Now, do I expect him to stay at JSU forever? No. But by the same token, I have a conspiracy theory, John, that I want to present. I think that Deion is going to be able to cherry pick some really good players, and the powers that be are going to offer him some crazy money. But we're not really offering you money because we feel like you're just that good of a coach. We just need you out the way. You see what I mean? So if we get a Deion out of the swag or away, then now how can Deion really flip it now? If he's a Power 5 coach, how can you go in the home and just how are you going to sell that? Because now I just sold you on another family on a swag school, telling you that you can get the same place here. How can I spend that though?
That's why I think he really Florida State's that only job that nobody's going to give him crap for taking, right?
Right.
Because that's his school, right? So I think he would get the free pass at FSU, but any other job, I feel like what you're saying, Dave, is totally viable, especially the sooner it is. So at what point does that get erased? Is it 2 years from now? And does it have to be Power 5? What if it's SMU or Houston? If it's another school in Texas or Florida where he has the most ties,
right? I just don't know
that state.
I just don't know how you can ever. And now that I'm thinking about it, even if he stays at JSU 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and move, I don't know how you can ever spin that narrative. Because what are you going to say in their living rooms now? Now you might be recruiting against an Alabama A&M. What are you going to tell that parent? Because you proved that you can get to the league from Alabama A&M. So what are you going to tell this parent? Why should I come to a Florida International or FA? I'm just making up a school. Why should I come there versus going to Florida A&M? What are you really going to say? Because you've proved that it can be done. So I don't know how now that I really think about it a little deeper, I don't know how you really backtrack out of what you've done now.
Yeah.
Because you've made a social stance.
Right.
That's a difficult
stance. Because even like you said, Florida International has Adidas and Florida A&M has LeBron. So that's
there. Did we really have to go there? Everything's about a brand.
Just run our bringers in and
if you didn't know that Tuck is the official apparel sponsor of DSF.
He wants a Nike sponsorship.
He's the reason why we have Nike official shirts.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, John even wore his Nike shirt tonight. So
I got you too.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Isn't it Tuck, you know the answer to this. I think a Nike sponsored school has won every national title.
Oh, John, don't feed him. Don't.
Since
2010. John, every time you come on, John, you feed him.
Auburn was the last one.
2010, buddy. 2010. Hey, John. I tried to tell them. Out of the top 10 this year, it's only 2 schools that's not Nike related, and that's Notre Dame, Cincinnati.
Hey, John.
It wasn't that we didn't. It wasn't that we did not.
We knew it.
Facts. He
just told us every week.
You just kept
Hey, Renard, I want to ask John one question. And
Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
I know we're going to come back to it, but I cannot let you leave from this show without asking the question. What is the impact that you've seen on this first signing day with high school recruiting? What have you seen from not the big time guys? Have you seen, because you've been doing this a long time, so have you seen the non 4 and 5 stars are you seeing a trend where they kind of getting squeezed now into maybe your smaller schools? So what do you got on that?
The problem with roster management, and all these head coaches will tell you that at every school, even Saban. The problem with roster management is that there's so much more ways to make moves as a player with 0 extra scholarships as a school. So your 85 is still your 85. So everyone's like, oh, well, you get 7 portal spots in addition to your 25 signing day spots. Well, yeah, you do. You could bring in 32, but the number's still 85.
Still 85.
So if you can't bring in 32 if you've got, 60-something kids on scholarship coming back. So the roster management has been harder to deal with than ever. So what that means for the middle tier high school recruit is, okay, we've got 2 spots left, right? I got a JUCO guy, I got a portal guy, and I got you as a 17-year-old kid who don't even know how to lift weights yet. Who do you think is going to be the odd man out in that scenario every single time? Because with the JUCO guy, I got college experience of some sort on tape. With the portal guy, you might have a lot of college experience, and even if you don't, you can make enough phone calls and say, "Hey, how was he in practice?" Talk to his teammates, coaches, whoever. So there is some level of college experience, even if you haven't played in games there. And you're older and more mature in theory. So that high school recruit's going to be the odd man out every single time. So when you start multiplying that, even if every school does that with one more kid, you start multiplying that. That's 60-something in the Power 5, 130 in Division 1, however many more in FCS, so on and so forth. So you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of kids who literally don't have a spot with, and it has nothing to do with their talent. It has nothing to do with their grades. It has nothing to do with anything they can control. But because those scholarship numbers have yet to change, the numbers crunch is going to hurt the high school recruit first, then JUCO, then the portal guys. It's always going to be in that order until they change that scholarship number, unfortunately.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Williams. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, another reason why we're bringing this up because of the possible elimination of the early signing period or pushing it back or whatever the stuff we talked about this, man. And I ain't gonna lie, it hit home a lot because of this and because of the fact that we were talking about Texas State, talking about they're not taking any high school players anymore. And also we talked about this a year ago when David's son was going through the recruiting process. I'm sure you remember that. It was just like, why would I take a high school player? We had a lot of thoughts on that, man. And we definitely wanted to ask you about it because it was it's a touchy subject, man, because we feel like kids are getting pushed out, like you just said, but we talked about it, man, and gave our take on it. So wanted to get someone who's a national recruiter who does this all the time to see how you felt about it, man.
Hey,
you in the same boat we are.
Texas State is not alone there either.
No,
they were first to go public with it, but on a different level, I know a group of 5 coaching staff that is only gunning for elite high school recruits and plans to miss on those recruits because then they can be first in the door when they hit the portal.
Right.
You talk about a philosophy change.
Yeah.
They are literally playing for second place because in a year
you'll be first place.
Portal, and you could be like, hey, we're still here. We're still here. We never left. So in the meantime, they're gonna hit JUCO and they're gonna hit the portal with a little bit of high school recruiting to mix it in. So high school recruiting for some schools has become the smallest amount of talent acquisition that you pull from, right? It's talent acquisition is the most important thing in college football. It used to be just called recruiting, but now it's the portal. It's convincing your kids who are thinking about the portal to stay. It's about convincing those kids who are getting bad draft grades to stick it out one more year. And then the COVID year has hurt a ton of kids on top of that because, again, those scholarship numbers have yet to change. So that this year we're going to see less of that, thankfully, because we're just further removed from that free year that everybody got. Right. You charge your battery, Tuck. And so we're going to see less of the COVID year, but those young guys on those COVID teams or those teams last year, Harrison Bailey is going to be a third-year freshman when he goes through the portal whenever he finds another school.
You know what, though? You know what, John? One thing, too, as I think about that, first of all, I think that the NCAA, it had to be a class that had to get squeezed, and it was that 2021 class. Because if you didn't squeeze 2021, you could never catch up. You were always going to be behind.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, if anybody is watching this show and has a student athletes, there's grades in school and the ACT schools are more important than ever because, as John just said, it's colleges out here that's not even recruiting high school guys. Well, they will recruit you even if they know they can't get you because they know there is a great possibility you may have to double back to them. So, as a high school parent of a recruit, the smaller the school, 9 times out of 10, the more the grades play a part into it. Athletics goes here, grades go here because they are most smaller schools are really focused on education. So they're going to give you more money, I'm telling you, you get way more scholarship money for academics than you will get for athletics. So if your kid is not doing it in the classroom in this day and time, they're going to give that scholarship to this Power 5 transfer that's coming into an Alabama A&M and an Alabama State, where on the normal rewind the clock 3-5 years, your kid might have gotten that look, but he's not getting that now. So grades are way more important now than they've ever been.
That's a great
That's
point.
kind of my thought with that.
That's a great point because it's easier to transfer college credits to another college than to compensate for lesser grades coming out of high school.
Yes.
So that's a really good point.
Yep.
And for every single person that's listening right now, I know everybody's on here pretty much really into football, and like we've talked about it, man. But these last 2 or 3 shows that we've hit, if you haven't seen it, you can go on YouTube, man. When we talk about the transfer portal, we talk about no early signing period. When we talked, of course, yesterday we talked a lot about Travis Hunter and HBCU, and today. But to stick on this point right here, man, like if you haven't been in this type of circle, a tight circle of football recruiting, you're stunned. You're stunned to what's going on. Nothing in football recruiting surprises me or surprises most people on this panel, man. But hey, I'm telling you, when you don't hear nothing, just be looking it up and researching and make sure you're informed. And nobody, I'm telling y'all, man, Dave is giving y'all some great life advice when it comes to what's going on in recruiting. John, I would tell you, it's a dirty, dirty world. Don't expect great things out there. Man. It's a business, man. Please understand that.
Business.
I mean,
go ahead,
Renard. I'm sorry, I'm trying to cut you out. It is.
No, I was done. You good?
You made a great point. It is the things that go on in recruiting would make you lose your religion, as the old folks used to say. You will have a recruiter or somebody, some type from a school that offer your son, and he turns around and asks, can he commit? And they will flat out tell you, no, not right now. Let's wait. Now, fortunately, that didn't happen to me, but I've heard that. You know, there's offers and there's committable offers.
Yes, Lord.
2 different things. So a lot of times you see these kids say, hey, I'm decommitting from XYZ school. Nah, bro, you ain't decommitting. That school came off of you. And so now you got to save face by putting it out here that you're decommitting. That what happens in a lot of decommit cases. I've seen 3-star guys get a PWO this last year.
Yep.
So listen, if you have a student athlete, make sure they're studying ACT training at 9th grade. Don't wait till 11th grade to say I'm going to take it, because think about it. If your son is not ACT prepping, how can you make a good score if he's not prepping? And I'm speaking from like the county and city school perspective, not your in Alabama, what we call an over the mountain type perspective. So you need to be prepping for that. 9th grade, you need to be prepping for that. So that's where I'm at.
I think, Dave, your points are very well valid. And with John, like as I said, it's so much going on, and there's so much we've been trying to get you on for, but we know how these schedules work and stuff like that. It's so many different issues in college football. But PJ was talking about exactly what you're talking about, Dave. He said, my son's a baseball recruit, and his academics are helping him tremendously because of the way baseball scholarships are going. If y'all don't know, baseball scholarships are way different than
right. Hey, Tuck, real quick, and I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna let you go, but I want to share a little bit of personal information with you guys. This is how important grades are. My son gets $15,000 a semester for grades. You know how much football is giving him? 5. So where do you think the balance is? Let's just be real about it. What do you think this school cares about? Does it care about the football team? Yeah, they won the national championship in 2020, but where they put that weight at? If this kid goes to this school and doesn't get his work, he loses $15,000 a semester. So who makes up? I don't have no damn. I'm sorry. I don't have $15,000 to pay per semester.
Tell the truth, brother. Tell the truth.
So guess what he got to do?
Hit the button.
Hey, he has to get his damn work. And he texted me the other day, said, Dad, I made a 90-something on my math final. I made 90-something on my speech final. He understands that. I said, son, listen, if there is no football, if there's no academics. And when you're looking at something that's less, a program that's less than Power 5, here's what you get. You don't get full athletic scholarships a lot. I mean, well, I know D2 down. I can just say that. You don't get full athletic scholarships.
Correct.
You know, you're going to get a partial.
Yeah. And that's what I'm about to tell you. Yeah, and that's what I'm about to say about baseball, especially in Alabama. Baseball scholarships are horrible. Like you get like some of the guys that might have gotten drafted in the 5th or 8th round and decide to play baseball. You might turn around and get these other cats to fill out your squad. Some of these baseball players are going to get partials, and they got to pay for their books. They got to get jobs during the summer. Baseball scholarships are horrible in Alabama. They are in surrounding states because you got different lotteries that they pay for their scholarships and stuff. But to PJ's point, yes, baseball scholarships are hard to come by, even if you're not a top 10 or top 12 player.
Yeah, it's crazy. And as we move close to the off season, we're gonna do more kind of like in person, kind of like I Am Athlete, just on just different subjects and stuff like that, John. Like it's because I just feel like really you can just talk about all this stuff that's going on, and you don't even have to hit anything about actual true football, because it's so much, whether it's NIL, whether it's transfer portal, everything that's going on, man. People have no idea. So that's going to be more of a conversation. But before we go, John, give everybody information, tell them where they can follow you at and follow everything for you.
Yeah, appreciate it. And you're right on it, Renard. The number one issue in those around recruiting is a lack of education on what in the world recruiting is. So yeah, that's really important. Appreciate it. Yeah, check us out, Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Click that NCAA football tab and we'll have all the fun for you, or SI All-American on all social media. My Twitter is my name, John Garcia _JR. I do have an Instagram, but I suck at it because I'm old. So
I got it.
With you, John. I post, but it's just like I'm not interactive.
I want to read stuff. Like pictures are great, but like I can't really learn as much. So
but before we head out, also do not forget we have the bowl pick'em, $10 entry fee, hashtag Down South Football for the Cash App. It uses standard scoring, so you're just picking. It says enter picks for each game by the lock time on each pick. So each game has a lock time when you can't make any more changes or do anything like that to it, man. So make sure you do that, man. The links is everywhere, but you can find it on the Capital One Bowl Challenge and look for Down South Football. And you'll see the password is Bowl21 for our group and stuff, man. Once you send the Cash App, we'll know everything is good. So just participate, man. Win you some money and have some good fun with it. But John, man, once again, man, we can't thank you enough for coming on here, man. We know how much of a busy guy you are, man, and you taking your time coming on here. It really means a lot to us, bro. We really appreciate it.
No, you guys have one of the best platforms out there. So happy to help out, and the pleasure's all mine. Appreciate it. You guys, you guys were doing it before everyone else, right? I mean, this is Travis Hunter's a big victory for this show, and y'all deserve it. For real.
Definitely is. Make sure y'all like and subscribe on YouTube. All my Facebook people, make sure you go like, subscribe on YouTube, because we'll be doing little giveaways, little cash giveaways, and all kind of little stuff on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. DSLpodcast.com, all that good stuff, man. Just make sure you keeping up with everything that we got going on. But fellas, y'all got anything else before we end the show?
Good.
Hey man, I don't have anything. I don't have anything else. Parents, student athletes, make sure the grades right. Make sure ACC scores are right. It's about to be way more important than ever And you can listen to me, you can not listen to me, but it's the truth. You're gonna need those. You're gonna need those the academic money. The way it's looking.
Yeah, and
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, yep. And go check out Spider-Man No Way Home tonight. So that's where I'm headed.
Anyway, that's what we do. Hey man, we'll be back soon, man. Hope to see y'all in the bowl challenge, man, and the stuff that we got going on for the playoffs and the bowl coming up. So a lot more content coming, but most important, like and subscribe on YouTube. Say what you got to say, man. Do what you need to do. But holler at us as soon as we can. John, once again, appreciate you coming on, and we out, man. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.